Yo, what's up, everybody? I hope everybody's doing awesome. Welcome to Coffee Code and Chat. I forgot my coffee though, so I might have to randomly get up and grab it. But welcome everybody. Let me know if the audio's working and everything else is working, because I'd hate to like start talking to you and be like, the audio is not working. But thank you so much for joining us today in Coffee Code and Chat. Help me, I broke my code live stream, because that's what I did. I broke my code. Man, my face is glowing today. I don't know what's happening. That's a crazy glow today. This is ridiculous. We got Mark in the comments. Dev Mentor Live, go to his YouTube channel, subscribe. He knows a lot more about code than I do. Really good dude. Has a lot of great content. So go check out his live streams. A lot of times I hang out on his live streams. And now he's hanging out on my live stream. He's an amazing dude. Great to have him. Doing great. Northern Chimp, hello, says audio's okay. Brian, what's up? Saying hello. Luke saying Paul is here. Yes, I think I am here. I don't know if I'm mentally here, but yes. Man, lots of great comments. Man, we're kicking this show with the great stuff. So I'm trying like a bunch of different stuff. I figure like, because watching Mark's stream, I'm like, man, he's got some donations going. So I'm trying like buy me coffee. You don't have to. But if you like to test out that thing that it works, I totally stole the idea from him. You could try to use that thing. I don't even know if it works, to be honest. But you could try it. By the way, if you do the monthly membership of $2, basically you're like, I like Paul so much that I'm willing to give him $2 a month. I will give you a link to my private community, which is the dumbest thing that someone could say, like, hey, if you give me money, I'll give you all these things. But you actually don't have to donate. But I figured like people that want to, they can. So I wanted to make an easy way of doing it somewhere like right here, like go take a picture of your phone. But we're having fun today, so it's going to be nice. I'm excited to be here. So today we are continuing to code with Remix and Strapi. If you're not sure, and by the way, let me know if the music is blatantly too loud, because, you know, it is what it is. But today we're going to continue building our project with Remix. The cool thing about Remix, which is pretty awesome, that I'm super excited, they just got acquired by Netlify. No, not Netlify. Look, I need my medication. I didn't take enough of it today. But they got Netlify, Shopify. They got... Yes, Shopify. That's right. Shopify. Yeah, it was Shopify. Okay, you correct. Okay, hold on. I'm getting my news here. So Shopify acquired Remix, which is amazing. That means they're gonna have a lot, like, pretty good backer behind them, and so we could see that Remix project continue to grow, which is super awesome. So I'm super excited. I will continue to explore Remix because I really love it. And by the way, a lot of people like, you're a Remix lover. No, I just happen to like Remix, but I also like Next.js. I think between Remix and Next.js, you can't go wrong depending on what you want to build. But I am excited for seeing Shopify pick up Remix, because I'm excited to kind of jump into that niche and build some Shopify apps, which we're not doing today. I'm just going to put that out there. Today, we're going to cry together of watching me fail coding. But I am excited for that. And I'm going to be curious to kind of build that expertise around Shopify and Remix. I think it's going to be awesome. Whatever you're doing with lighting, it looks really good. Well, thank you, Sharon. You know, we're trying to step up the game. Step up the game of the stream. You know, lots of good... you know, to be honest, I was watching Mark's stream, and he's been kicking up the production value. You know, and so I'm like, you know what? I got to step up in the streaming game as well. And we both follow the same heroes. Obviously, Dr. Disrespect killing it on streaming. So I was like, you know what? I'm probably not going to go complete Dr. Disrespect, you know, because my hair, I think, is fine. I don't need the crazy wig. If you don't know who it is, just look him up. One of the most entertaining streamers out there. And then, I can't pronounce his name. It's the other dude that Mark likes. The dude that used to, I can't pronounce his name. Parmageddon. What's that dude that you like, Mark, that works at, the hell, does he work at Netflix? That dude with a mustache who kind of gives you that Dr. Disrespect vibe. What's that dude's name? He's another one that does phenomenal streams. And then another, like, outside, like, following Dev Mentor Lives, I like Theo from Ping. Yeah, Primagen. That dude is hilarious and fun. And so I figured like, why not step up the quality of the streams? That's what we're going to do. Yeah, Netflix, 100%. Thank you. Yep, that's the dude. That's the dude. Yep. Parmesan, Netflix. Trash Staff, that's a cool name. I haven't followed that guy or girl yet. I don't even know, but that's cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out. But today we're gonna take a look at the project that I'm building. And so I am going to give you the quick rundown of the tech stack. I'm gonna give you the quick rundown of what else we're doing, and then we'll jump into the code. But a lot of times, like, Trash is dope. We're gonna have to check him out. Thanks, Mark. But the coolest thing is I just want to hang out with you, chat with you, and basically cry live, because all grown men cry because we have feelings. To be honest, I don't know if I have feelings, but we will give it a shot. But the reason why I do this stream, so here's like a thing, like, so Dev Mentor Live, he's an expert at programming, right? He's an amazing dude. He's been doing it forever. But I'm some random dude who broke into the industry. And so I'm not an expert, but I'm not afraid to get out there and build stuff, because the truth is, the more people build things from scratch instead of getting stuck in tutorial hell, the better and faster you're going to get at coding. So that's what we're going to do. So before we move on, let me kind of show you the project that I'm building. And there's some funky stuff going on, so we'll have to check it out. Man, mad respect, Dev Mentor Life. I bought you a coffee, bitch. Yeah, I love the love. And he says, love you. And I appreciate the love. And same at you. I'm gonna, you know, this is gonna be a game we're gonna play, you know. But yeah, thank you. And I think it's important to support the creators that you love, but you don't have to at the same time. But I just wanted to put that out there because I do this stream. It's not something I do professionally, but anything that tips you give me, that means that's more tacos I could get, and we could watch me get like bigger and bigger from all the tacos that you all, or coffees you're buying me. And I guess because it's coffee code in chat, buying coffees makes sense for that. So let's take a look at what I've been working on. And today I broke my code. I want to cry. That is the title of this, the theme of the stream. So I'm currently building this project, Dev Hunt, which will give you and your friends a place to hang out and work together and pair program, build cool things. At least that's the idea. How far did we get? We didn't get that far. I have this beautiful landing page where the backend is actually pretty cool because it's powered by Strapi, and I guess I would have to log in. And the reason I decided to go to Strapi and not use, I can't speak and type at the same time, so I apologize, and create my backend from scratch, twofolds. Number one is that I'm not the best backend developer yet, but also I am also big believer, if there's stuff exists that could help you to go to market faster with your project, go ahead and use it. So here's how my backend is powered. And if you look at the page, I have my home page. So this hero section, features, right? All this great, amazing content gets populated on my front end here. And that's where this is coming from. And what's cool about it in Strapi, for instance, these are Strapi components that are tied to Remix React components. So if I'm in Strapi and I'd like to say, like, maybe call to action should be higher, I could like move it like this, save. And now if we go back here, refresh, notice that my call to action is now in a new place. That looks really dumb, so I'll go ahead and move it back. But I like that you have this flexibility with Strapi, and this is why I love using it, is because you give your editors the power and flexibility to do cool things. But so far I have this landing page, which is amazing. We have about, resources, project, blogs, community. And by the way, this app is broken. We have our dashboard. We're going to try to see if we could show up our projects. I don't know what the hell I did. It's not working. But what I am proud of is that we have our log out button. Our login form works, the basics of it. Of course, you can go here and try to break stuff. I'm currently working in my local environment, but at the same time, I also have this deployed. I'm a big believer, deploy your application right away, so you could test it in production right away. But I could log in. I think I'm Paul Bratz, password is test user. And once you're logged in, it will take you to the dashboard, which is pretty awesome. You should be able to see dashboard and projects. We added this amazing profile page where you could see the profile. You could update your profile, which is cool. Paul smells, right? And I update. And so now check this out. Even the update doesn't work. So that's the second thing that's broken that we'll take a look at why it's broken. It might have something to do with permissioning, which we'll take a look, but it's good that I tried it live and failed live, because why not? And you should be able to create a user. So let's go to log out. And if it doesn't work, that's more issues for us to fix. So if I do John Wick, does John Wick have a GitHub link? I'm going to use my GitHub link for now. Why is my monitor not so zoomed in? So let me just copy this link, because we need a GitHub link, because I want people to share their GitHubs with me. Let's do John Wick, and password is going to be, well, email will be john@wick.com. That makes sense. And then we're going to say test user. So you should be able to create an account. More broken things. And this is exciting, because I love when things break, because the whole point here is to continue to try to troubleshoot. And this is the reason why I love doing these streams. One thing that I want to say, why a lot of you have to start building projects from scratch, and we'll take a look at the comments in a second, is because this is where you learn the most important skill, which is learning how to troubleshoot and learn to think like a developer, and then taking your time to search the issues and try to figure out what is going on. And it is a big fat error that we're going to look to fix really slowly. And then we could talk about it and see what is happening. But at the moment, and I think I might know why. It might be complaining that we didn't have an image, because I did fix a bunch of stuff, but like an idiot, I forgot to commit the code, and like a bigger idiot, I bricked my MacBook Pro and I had to reinstall everything. So it's going to be exciting to try to figure out where I got stuck. Yes, I love your learning the front end, use back end, don't learn front end, back end. Yeah, 100% makes sense. And by the way, the reason why I'm saying this, Dev Mentor Live actually is doing amazing streams. Go and watch him. And one of the coolest things he's doing, regardless if you hate like whatever that Tate character is, regardless whatever his message is, but he has this Tate University, whatever the hell it's called. But what's cool about it, Dev Mentor on his channel is building the basic implementation of, it's actually not basic, it's pretty cool what he's doing, but he's building exactly what you would build in order to have that as a functioning business. And what he's going is, again, he's taking that similar approach where he's not trying to build stuff from scratch, but he's relying on using services to glue everything together to make a service that you can potentially sell to your clients. And I think that is amazing. And yes, Paul is definitely a DevRel for Strapi, but I've been using Strapi before working there. And after I get fired from Strapi, I will continue to use Strapi because it does the job. In terms of hosting, I'm currently hosting it on DigitalOcean, but eventually we're going to have very easy deployment to Strapi Cloud, which is going to be coming at some point. I don't have the exact dates, but you can join the Strapi Cloud waiting list if you like, which is pretty awesome. And I will quickly show you where you could do that, just in case, since you all are already talking about Strapi. And then we'll talk about the tech stack that I'm using. We'll jump into the code, but you could go and to strapi.io, and you could click here, the cloud. As you see, this cloud just lands, and you could join the waiting list, which is going to be pretty awesome. But enough about Strapi here. What I want to talk about is, let's kind of quickly review. I'd use Strapi if they sponsor my show. Hint, hint. Bro, I'm not even sponsored, but yeah, I totally get it. But the tech stack I'm using Strapi for my backend because it allows you to create really fast API. Literally, it takes 5 minutes to set up. I'm not even kidding about it. We can on the show kind of take a look how to set Strapi up at some point if you like, but it literally takes 2 minutes, 3 minutes I'll probably talk longer than it actually takes for it to set up. And it's cool because it allows you to build an API fast with an amazing admin panel for your managers, content managers, or you to manage content. You have REST. You could use GraphQL. I'm starting to use REST most of the time now. And it's pretty awesome. You have very pretty UI. And then for my, where did the site went? Is it here? Yes. And then for my front end, although Remix is a full stack React framework, I'm using Remix for my front end. It's pretty awesome. The way it allows you to get data, it's pretty cool. And we'll see more of that later today. Today, we're going to take a look about it. And it's pretty awesome. And of course, I'm lazy. I don't build anything with CSS. I know Mark is really good at CSS. He also loves Tailwind like me, but I literally got this paid template from Tailwind UI, and I'm using their components because I want to focus on the code. I don't want to recreate the front end. I'll save that for later. I'm not going to worry too much about it. And that's what I'm using. And so let's kind of take a back look and start slow and see what's happening. So number one, creating John Wick broke. And I'm going to assume it's because John Wick doesn't have an image. And what I could do is add a dummy image to John Wick to kind of for his avatar and see if that fixes things. And if it does, that means I'm not doing a null check to see if the image exists. Please don't, like, okay, that's great. But if the image doesn't exist, don't crash my app. So let's go here and refresh. No, still broken. That's fine. So let's see. We're having this error happening in the dashboard. So we're going to start by fixing one issue at a time and see what happens. And Dev Mentor, I agree with you. I got to get those subs up. You know, over time, it's going to happen. I'm not rushing. I'm more interested like you, just hang out with the community, chilling, having fun, and not really overthinking. And I figured like the better my content will get, the more subs I will eventually get. But at the same time, my goal here is literally just continue to become a better developer, do it in public, and build cool stuff and hang out with all you beautiful, wonderful people. And if you have questions, 100% let me know. And yes, Engine Boy answered the question, where am I hosting my stuff? It's on DigitalOcean. But let's start thinking through this application and see why we're having errors. So currently, this is my front end, and my front end is having issues. So cannot read properties of undefined, reading attributes. So that means when we try to destructure attributes, something stupid is happening. So if we take a look, let me move the backend window out of here so we could have this one. So, and reading in routes dashboard. So in routes dashboard, let's go routes dashboard here. And so our initial call, I believe, is going to be happening dashboard. So we have this loader that loads data, and a lot of professional developers use breakpoints, which is awesome. I'm not going to go that crazy today. I'm just going to assume like I'm trying to get some data here. And I'm going to use the data. So here, what am I doing here? Full name. Am I failing here? So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take a look here and console log here to see what I'm getting from the author. And more importantly, I'm going to return something stupid just so we see if my code compiles. And I know it's probably going to fail somewhere else, but I'm kind of curious. And let me actually, so I don't render any of the other stuff, I'm actually going to console log, not console log, but I'm going to black out this outlet for now, and we'll start in place. So if I refresh, so we're getting null, and that's kind of the message that I did. So let's take a look at what are we consoling logging here to see why are we failing miserably. So we are getting an array, and the array has nothing in it, which is not something that should happen. And I'm curious about why. And so let's take a look in our content manager. And so the way my application should work, and I'm kind of curious why this didn't work, but when we created John Wick user, it should have created an author, which it did. It created an author called Paul. No, it didn't. It didn't create an author. And I know that when I go to here, we should have a John Wick author automatically created, but that wasn't created. That means that something in my code is broken and doesn't exist. And so I know I created a custom controller that basically handles the logic to create this. And that's something we did in our previous stream. So I'm going to take a look there first to see if that's the facts. And that code is stored on the back end, and it's stored in our node modules, and I'm using patch package to override. So if you can see here, I'm using patch package to override the code, but I want to see and look, is that where it's breaking? If that's the case, we need to fix it. But let me take a look at node modules. We go to add Strapi. And if you have questions, definitely ask. Let me know what your thoughts. And I'm a big believer in building in public. It's very important to try things out. And so I believe it's helper plugin, user permissions plugin. And then we go to admin. No, we go to server. We go to controllers and off. This is where I was working on the custom code. So let's take a look and see where it fails. So here we have our callback. That's something different. Change password, not worried about it. Reset password, not worried about. Connect, not worried about. So forgot password, not worried. Register. So this is where we need to think to see. So as I'm looking here, I don't have my changes that I need. And this might be because I didn't run patch package to apply the patch that I need to apply. And so what I need to do is actually, and I think that happened because my computer broke and I had to pull everything down again. And I think I just never reapplied the packages. So is this the backend? Yeah, this is the backend. And I believe that's going to fix it. So what I'm going to do is run patch. I don't even remember what the command is. Let me go to here. Get npm patch package. If you've never used patch package, it's a really amazing npm package that allows you to make changes to node modules without overriding them. And then what you do is you basically create a patch that you could apply those changes. So I'm just going to take a look and see what command. My cat here is chasing flies. It's pretty awesome. So patch package to the files. I believe I should be able to run yarn patch package to patch or use npx blah, blah, blah. Create npm patch package. Yeah, I think that's all I have to do. And so let's take a look at the code. So notice here, not this one, in our backend. Notice here, as you scroll down here at new user params, this should be changed because we add additional information. And so watch, I'm going to run patch package and it should update this for us. So let's take a look here. So I should be able to do yarn patch package. So notice it says applying patches, plugin user permissions. This should be the changes that I made in the past. I'm going to do yarn build to rebuild my backend Strapi thing. And by the way, if you all have, it would be undefined. I just use null for whatever. But this should rebuild the code that I applied. Let me run yarn develop. And then, by the way, this is going to start our backend, which is great. And now if we look at our package here, let's see if it changed stuff. So callback, that's not what we were looking at. Oops. Change password, reset password. And that was a very simple mistake. I forgot that I made changes to the node module, and I forgot that I needed to basically update this to add the patch. And as you could see, we're now getting that additional information that I wasn't passing, which was first name, last name, GitHub link, username, and email. And we're adding that additional custom code that I didn't have. I'm assuming that was the issue. I could be totally wrong, but let's try it. Let's go to our Strapi application and let's delete our John Wick user, and let's try recreating again. So go back to our front end, and let me take off that console log. Oh, I'll keep the console log, but I'll take that off, which right now is broken. Let's kind of come back here. Let's log out. Let's try again. Let's create a user, John Wick, Wix, GitHub link. Where's my GitHub? It's gonna complain if I didn't give valid like URL here. So let me go to my GitHub and get like a valid GitHub URL here. Blah, 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 copy and paste. So we go back here. Username, John Wick. Let's do johnwick@email.com. Let's do test user, keep it simple, create account, boom. And notice now it didn't break. We have the dashboard. We have our projects, which not showing anything. We'll fix it in a second. I must still be commenting something out here. Oh, I know. I commented out the outlet, but that's great. Our app is not crashing. And so that's a good news. And then we could take a look at the profile. And again, nothing is displaying here. And the reason why, let's take a look here. And then we'll take a look at the chat, answer some questions if you have any. And so the reason why it's not showing up, it's because in Remix, whenever you're rendering parent route and you have children routes, the way you render the children routes, it's similar to the way you would in React Router. You would use the outlet component. And so what I did earlier when troubleshooting, I literally commented out the output, the outlet component, and that's why you're not seeing it. So let's go to API. We are working, not API, that's our backend code. We're in routes for our front-end code. We were in dashboard, and now if I scroll down, you will see that I commented out the outlet, and that's what's going to render all the children routes within this dashboard here. So right now it should render this index.jsx, which should show basic information about our user. So let's see if that worked. Perfect. So if we go to our dashboard, we have our basic user information, but we're still not getting any projects. We're going to figure that out later. So the next thing I want to check out, view profile. This works. And now curious, one issue here, I should be able to make updates here, but before checking out the updates and so basically whenever I find that my app has issues, I'll literally start going one step at a time. But before we get too far, by the way, you're watching Coffee Code and Chat, where I'm basically failing at coding. And if you like watching other people fail, this is definitely the stream for you. If you're new to here, welcome. And so, by the way, let's take a look at the chat. Fantastic. And we're going to get there one step at a time. A lot of great tips and lots of great suggestions. Nice. And yes, by the way, there was a hackathon with React Play. Engine Boy got second place. That is amazing. Congratulations, bro. I love the way that you're getting involved in public projects, you're building stuff, you're getting involved in the community. It is fantastic. And that's a good way to grow your experience. So we fixed one issue to create a user. Now, one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to step back and I'm going to see if I could log in as John Wick. So let's see, I'm going to go to log out and I'm going to see if I could log in as John Wick and password is test user. So perfect. The login works. The register function works. So now let's take a look here because I should be able to update the profile, John Wick. When I hit update, this should work. And if I refresh, great, notice that it works. And the way I could tell the reason why it works is because if I go to author now, you could see the change here, John Wick. If I want to add an image, and I think the reason why I was breaking is because the registration was broken initially. When we were creating a user, we weren't creating the author, which is what contains this bio information. And because it wasn't connected, that wasn't working. But now, because we fixed the registration, this works. And we could test if we could upload a file. Do I have any good? I'm going to upload this right ever. Choose file, update, and boom, it gets updated. By the way, here's a superpower of Remix. I don't know if you just saw what happened. I don't know if you just noticed. Here's the superpower of Remix. This blew my effing mind. I just updated this photo. This is its own place. And then here's the side menu that lives in a completely different place of the application. And it automatically updated here and updated here. But I'm not doing any prop drilling. I'm not passing any context. Remix just does it automatically, be like magic behind the scene. Because if you take a look, the information that I just updated, it is being fired. It is being called in this action function that lives in this profile function. That's it. But that side menu that you saw, the side menu here, it doesn't live here. It lives inside the dashboard. This is it. This is where it lives. So how does it know to update this image like magic? I have no idea how that works, and I probably need to learn more about Remix to figure that out. But that's that magic in that black box that I like, because here we have a loader function that will get that data, and somehow it knows when the data changes. Why don't you go ahead and refetch that difference? Mind freaking blown. Unbelievable. And that's the type of stuff that pays the big bucks for you to buy that amazing Ferrari that we all want, right? And this is like, actually, you know what? I want everybody to donate $2 to buy me coffee so I could buy a Ferrari. I'm not even gonna lie. Very big goals for us. Let's see if I could buy a Ferrari on this channel through your donations. Sounds stupid, I know, but I never said I was smart. Thank you for watching Coffee Code and Chat. Let's continue building stuff. I think it's gonna be exciting. And by the way, we have Dev Mentor in the chat. Go check out his channel. By the way, before we do that, let's go ahead, before we come back into fixing some stuff, let's go back and throw some more love to Dev Mentor. Let's take it out. And by the way, I want to show you how much I love Dev Mentor besides the usual saying I love Dev Mentor. But I'm not big at recommending channels. But if you go to my channel, right? Look at that right there, Dev Mentor, boom. Anyway, this dude makes really good content. And is he like, does he fit the developer mold? No, he doesn't. And that's why I love him, because he has character. He does cool stuff. He doesn't give up. You know what I'm saying? He just creates good content. And a lot of people, this is the biggest mistake they do. Sometimes they'll watch him and they might disagree with some of the stuff he does and be like, you know what? I can't watch this stuff. But his stuff is excellent. Some of the technical stuff that he shows, I mean, I steal a lot of his stuff. I'm not gonna lie, great stuff. But check out his channel if you haven't. So let's get back to code. Let's get to it. So this works. So the thing that doesn't work now is we're not getting projects. Maybe it's because I don't have any projects. Now, I could try to create a project, but I think this is also broken. So for now, I'm going to test this by creating a project from Strapi. So I'm going to go to my content. We're going to go to projects. And this is why I love using Strapi in the backend, because it allows you to create stuff without having to do too many things in the backend or knowing how to manually put stuff in the database. So I'm going to create a new entry. I'm going to call this test project. We're going to say remix, description, testing stuff. I'm going to add an image here. Let's put this beautiful image of my fiance, my ex-fiance. My heart is broken. Why? Why did it happen to me? Aria, I miss you. Anyway, life happens, and so that happens. And the author is going to be John Wick. I'm going to save and publish. So we should have a project that is connected to our author, John Wick. So if we look under John Wick, we look on the project, we see our test project. And so now we want to see if we are able to get this data. Are we able to get this data? So where's that data going to appear? So it should be returned by making a call, because we're getting the author by user ID, and the author will have the projects. And how do I know this? Because I wrote this controller here under authors. We calling get author by user ID, and notice that I'm asking to get back the image, user, and projects. And for some reason, this is not working for me, but we will troubleshoot. We'll check it out. But first, let's see what we return. So we go here. We get nothing. And when I console log, we only get the avatar. Now, the first place to check, if you're not familiar with Strapi, Strapi by nature will lock down the API, and it won't let you get data access to places you're not supposed to. So we need to kind of set those permissions. So the first thing I'm going to do inside my content manager, I'm going to go to roles. I'm going to go to authenticated, and I'm going to go to author. And so, yeah, we have find, update, find one. This is beautiful. So let me make sure that I'm making requests to that appropriate endpoint here. Yes, I'm calling authors. So one thing you can do is check this request first, not in your front-end code, but you could check this request by using something called Insomnia. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to first of all log in as John Wick, and I'm going to get this JW token. But before I do that, let's duplicate this. So the first thing I'm going to check is, does my API return the correct data? And so we're going to make the call to find one. It's going to be here. All right, we're going to pass an ID. What's the ID for our John Wick author? And by the way, if you have questions about Remix or Strapi, feel free to ask. No big deal. It's all good. Yeah, Insomnia is cool. Postman is really good too. For majority of stuff, I just like Insomnia. I really like their super basic kind of UI. It's really nice. So John Wick has ID of 18. So we want to make a request to this endpoint with 18. Now, because we're testing authenticated request, we want to make sure that we do bearer token, prefix, bearer, if I could spell. And let's get our token here for our logged in user. Go back to our get author by ID, push it here, and click paste. Says method not allowed. That is very interesting. So something weird's happening on our back end. That's our front end. And I'm curious. So I'm going to do something simple. I'm going to try authors just to get forbidden 16. 405 method not allowed. Let's see here. Roles, authenticated, author, find one. Oh, also the second thing I forgot to check. Here it is. Here's the issue. I'm an idiot. So let's take a look at what's happening. So remember I said how Strapi does not let you hit the API for no reason because it locks your API for security reasons. And so if you want to get certain data, you have to give that permission on the controller level. So as you could see here under projects, we didn't give permission for find and find one. And so when we're making a request, but that still doesn't make sense because that should still return the user. But we'll talk about that. And maybe it's the same thing for user permissions as well, because we are returning the user. But that's set up. That's fine. So the issue might be the fact here that we didn't give permissions in our API. So let's save and let's try again. And maybe that's not the complete error, but that's definitely one of the issues that we were exploring and having. So I'm going to send again. Method still not allowed. That is annoyingly frustrating. So we need to think, Paul, think the brain, think. So we're making the call. Why would the method not be allowed? Am I passing some stupid stuff that's breaking? So no, that makes no sense to me. Makes no sense to me. And here's the thing about live coding, right? It's a lot of times, like, look, you're going to run into issues and you're going to have stuff where you're trying to figure out, and sometimes it could be something stupid and sometimes it could be something not stupid. And I'm kind of curious, what is happening? And this is the issue. This is why development is hard, because you have to take your time and to work through mistakes that happen and troubleshoot and try to figure things out. And this is why I said, if you like watching a grown man cry to figure out like what is happening, what is going on. Oh, here's another reason. Pay attention to details. So let's get back into it. And this is why I love doing live, because people will be like, man, this is hard. It is hard. But then also making stupid mistakes because you're not paying attention to detail is a thing. So guess what? I'm trying to get data. What kind of request am I making here? I'm making a post request. What kind of request? You freaking... What kind of request? We got to make a get request because we're getting data. Now at least we have a different data says not found error. That means we're not able to find something, which is interesting because I'm also not looking for an author by ID. I'm looking for author by user ID. So let's go back here and take a look. So I have my author. It's not this that I'm looking for. I need to look for user with 28 because what I'm doing is, wait a second. Okay. I'm going to take a step back. It's not going to work here. I'll tell you why in just a second. So in order for me to get the proper user here, this is going to be by the author ID. So this is going to be 18. And I'll explain this in a second. And the reason why I'm doing it this weird way is because I'm too lazy to write custom controllers at the moment. I just want the front end to work. But notice we're able to get the data. We're able to get basic information here. So we know this works. So now let's go back to our API call that we're making. So the reason why I am able to get the author not by user ID, because what I'm doing, I'm going to show you a cool thing. So we're actually able to filter on the front end to ask our API to get the data that we want. And so what I want to do here for a second, I want to console log this for you. And this is going to be actually on our server. So I'll do this so I could spot it. And what we want, the hell are you doing, Paul? Oh, Jesus Christ. Did you see that? So what I'm doing is I'm actually not making a request to authors get by ID. I'm actually making a request to authors. And what I'm doing is I'm passing a filter where user ID is whatever the user ID. And I'll show you what it looks like. And for us, the more human readable way is to write it in this object notation, because it's going to look really ugly if we wanted to just write it in a string URL string format. So I'm using QS stringify to stringify this to get the string version of what the URL should look like, and then we're passing it as params. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this in our application. And look, it's working now. The reason why is because we had issue with permissioning, which is great. So we have test project showing up, but let's take a look in our API here. And here's the string. And look how ugly this string looks. You guys and girls see this? I can't imagine myself writing this, right? Because that's too crazy. And just to show you that I'm not messing with you, look, if I paste it here, it's gonna get the data that we want. You see, bam, we're getting our user, we're getting our project. So everything works great. Everything works fantastic. And the reason why I'm using this stringify is because if you look at this ugly ass param URL string that I wrote, that doesn't make any sense. And how you show nested relationships in here, I have no idea. So in Strapi, we have this object syntax, which is more human readable, and you could basically understand. This basically says, please populate all the relations that include avatar, user information, and projects, and please filter based on user ID. And I'm using this QS library to make this ugly string that we pass to our URL. And so now we're getting the data. Fantastic. So we're getting our projects. This is great. Let's see if our pinned project works. So if I go to content manager, goes to authors, let's hit John Wick. Let's say he has a pinned project. We're gonna say, did I name 2 test projects like a jerk? Let's save it. That's fine, no big deal. I'm gonna go here, refresh. Let me go back here. The pinned project didn't work, but that could just be an issue that I picked the wrong project because I named it the same name. Let me just do this. Save, go to projects. Let's go to John Wick's project here. I'm gonna put John's project just so I'm not confused, because there might be an issue of trying to get access to somebody else's project that we don't have access to, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Let's see if that fixes it, which probably won't, but like you got to start testing at where you think the issue might be and then slowly work your way up the problem. So I'm just, number one, want to make sure, does our API return the pinned project? So I'm going to go to authors, under John Wick, under pinned, I'm going to put John Wick's project, click save. And then now what I'm going to do, instead of like looking at my front end, I'm kind of curious, is the pinned project return here? Am I even asking for it here? And maybe that's not why it's displaying. So I'm getting my avatar, I'm getting my user, I'm getting my projects, but I'm not getting pinned projects. And first of all, let me see if I'm even trying to get pinned projects from the same window. So we go to our index. So we are getting our data here using the remix loader function, which runs on the back end. What's awesome, we able to easily set this route. Basically, if the user data doesn't exist in our session, then it will redirect to login, which is amazing. So we're doing that check, and then we're making a call to get our author's data by user ID. We're getting, let me close some stuff that we don't need here. We're getting our data here. Perfect. And we need to be able to put our pin data here, but we're not returning the pin data from our API because we're not giving permission to Strapi to return that data. And so what I need to do is I need to go to authors here and take a look. So we're returning projects, but we need to return pin, which we're not having access to yet. So for me to be able to get this data, I need to give Strapi the flag. I don't even know how to call these things because I'm an idiot. To be like, hey, get this data for us. So in our front-end code, in our get authors here, we should be able to do pinned, and we should be able to get it. Yeah, this is one of the reasons, Mark, I love Strapi, because it has all the stuff out of the box and I don't really have to think about it too much. I could literally focus on building the project that I want to bring to market. And by the way, love the fact that you hang out with us, Mark. Everybody go check out Mark's channel. Makes amazing content. And I know these live coding streams don't get the views, but I don't care about the views. All I care about is creating cool content that I enjoy, learning and becoming better developer publicly. And I love the fact because look, I'm doing stuff, I'm looking at the comments, I'm kind of using not only my own brain to troubleshoot some of these things, but I'm seeing you all give cool feedback. So this is amazing. So I'm going to continue to move forward. But the reason I do this coding live, even though it doesn't get a lot of watch time, is because I want all of you who are learning to code, who are looking and struggling through the process, to understand this is exactly what real life coding works. Like Mark always says, a lot of times when you watch some of these people that show live coding, it's pre-recorded video. So you get the best foot forward. If you watch Mark's channel, you watch my channel, even Mark though, he's experienced. And what I would say, the reason why I would say Mark is a senior developer is because it takes him way less time to figure out problems that it would take me, right? I would have to spend a little bit more time. But he runs into problems also, and he goes through this process of trying to figure out where the problem is coming from and troubleshooting. And if you're doing tutorials and you're not coding live from scratch, even though you're not sharing that with anybody, you're doing yourself a huge, huge disservice. So go ahead and make it better. By the way, one thing I always forget to do is whenever Mark joins us, it's kind of good to give him, what the hell, did I close my YouTube video, YouTube here, to give him, oh, he already has rights to whatever you call it, the permission people on chat. Hey Tyler, what's up? Welcome. Yeah, I just did a cool stream at Coding Addicts. If you missed it, I'm sure he'll post it. You could rewatch it. That also turns into a podcast. But Tyler, welcome. I'm actually pretty much crying and failing building stuff. And by the way, if you have any questions, don't really have to be all sometimes related to the code. I mean, it's nice if they are, but you know, you could go and ask. So now what we're doing is we're basically try to see if we're able to get our pinned posts. And again, instead of testing it in my app, if you have an API, by the way, like you gotta try to take out variables that could fail. So the first thing that I do is I use something like Insomnia to test that I'm actually getting the data that I need in the API response before I even try to work with it on the front end. And by the way, because we changed the thing, I want to make sure that I get the right, and I know it works, which is great, but fantastic. But let me just test it on my API here. So I need this query string that I'm constantly logging. And what I typically do is if I'm expecting certain data from an API, I don't make that call from the front end. I literally test it first. And you can, there's nothing wrong with that. But what I do, I literally test it first by doing a query with a thing called like Insomnia, which is very similar to Postman. And so I want to test my response, because if your API is giving you wrong data, it doesn't matter what you do, right? It doesn't matter what you do. You're not getting the right data. So I'm going to test. So we're getting the avatar. We're getting the user. We're getting our projects, and we're getting pinned. And this is why now we're able to see our data. We're able to see the projects. We're able to, for John Wick, we're able to see the pinned projects. So if I remove John Wick's pinned project, it should disappear. So let's remove the pinned project from our API. Go back here. If I refresh, notice the project is gone. So let's go add the pinned project again. That's pretty sick. It works. So pinned project, John's project, save, and then go back. It works. So we know this works. So another thing that should work is when I click on the project, it should take me to the project, right? But before we do that, that probably will explode. So it explodes. That's an issue we have to fix that we will handle. But I want to now make sure is why is this not showing up in the project view? And it probably because we're failing somewhere. So let's check it out. Where are we failing? Let's take a look. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep this here. I'm going to go to my dashboard. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove all the unnecessary console logs so they don't confuse the crap out of me. So this is remove. Let's go remove this one because I have too many console logs. Maybe doing breakpoints makes more sense, but you know what? Let's save that for later. Not gonna worry about this right now. So now let's break this down. So whenever we hit the projects route, we should go to projects.index, not projects dot, but projects folder index.jsx file. And this is where this code lives. So let's go take a look there and see what is happening. So we on our projects and we are in index and we have empty state. So that makes sense. And then I realized that if we take a look on our projects.jsx file, I have this additional logic, and this should probably be moved to the index page that I showed you, which I'll do in another video. But for now, this is where we're actually getting the projects that we want to display, which is not currently working right now. So I know that I have to, number one, console log the data that I'm getting from my controller here, from my Strapi application. What am I doing? I can't type. Some people are like, you need to type better. I know I need to type better. Tell me about it. So let's console log this, see what it looks like. Let's take a look. Let's experiment. So we refresh. This error we'll talk about later. So projects, we're getting nothing. Nothing. That's not working for us. So let's figure out why. So let's take a look. So where are we getting these projects? We're getting these projects from this loader function. So this is fine. I know that. So if there's a user data, it's going to allow us to continue. If not, it will redirect us to login. So that's fine. So we're calling get project by user ID, and we're passing user data ID. So let's take a look inside that controller, which lives in my API folder under brain freeze, under projects, get project by user ID. And so we're making a call here. first, the one thing that I'm not doing here that I'm doing everywhere else is I'm not doing a authenticated request, which we need to add and fix because I don't want anybody to get data, you know, for projects if they're not logged in. You know what I'm saying? Because I want you to only have access to your own project, which will fix eventually later by adding policies in Strapi that will allow us to check, does this belong to you? But for now, we're just taking one step at a time. And so create project. So what we need to do is we need to add a header. And I have another example of this here, not here. Get update, no, get author, wait, not author. Yeah, authors, get author by user ID. So basically what I need to do is to add this header. Basically, I'll be passing the token when making this request. And if the token exists and it matches the token that we expect for the logged in user, then we will be making authorized request to get the data that we need. So let's go to get project by user ID. I believe that's what we're doing. And so in this fetch, in the second argument, we're able to pass header with our authorization bearer token. Now we need to get the token. Where am I getting the token from? Well, I should probably pass it inside here, right? I should get it from the projects, right? And we want to pass user data. I believe it's JWT token. And I know I'm doing a similar thing in profile. I just want to make sure that, no, I'm not doing in profile. Let's close this. I'm doing it somewhere in dashboard. So yes, so I have it saved under user data JWT. I could have, of course, console logged it, but we go back to projects, and our second argument is we want to pass that token that we're getting on from user data. And if you don't believe me, I could, of course, console.log user data, so we could take a look and see what the hell user data returns. And by the way, if this is boring, sometimes I hate to tell all of you, like, live coding is boring and you should all be doing it. Doing tutorials is not a, Pablo, what's up? Doing tutorials is not going to get you hired. It's building stuff from scratch and building your confidence by building stuff, failing, banging your head against the keyboard, what's going to get you hired. So what I'm going to do is continue to build stuff from scratch, because that's how you get better. And if you're not doing it, I was going to say shame on you, not shame on you, because we all been there. I've been there for a long time. Go ahead and start building a project from scratch, even though the process will suck. Sharon, thanks for stopping by. I'll see you next live. Really appreciate your support. Have a great rest of the weekend. All right. How are we doing on time? So today I'm just going to focus on fixing the immediate problems that we have. So we'll try to go another half hour and then go from there. By the way, hold on a second. I think I had my food delivered. Let me put it in the fridge before it goes bad. I'll be right back. 1 second. Oh my God, food delivery. Nice. Building few small projects. That's where you start. That's how you do it. Fantastic. So we're back. Not losing our mind here yet. Let's go take a look. Token is not defined. Then we define that token. Everything is great. So we're passing the token. We're passing whatever else that we need, the ID. And again, but we're returning nothing. So get project by user ID. So again, you all know the process that I like to do, right? The process is you could test the API first, make sure that it works. So we're let me console log this query. Actually, this is the wrong controller. That's not where I'm working at. I have too many things open. Let me close everything up. Project by user ID. Create project, we're going to worry about later. Create, we're going to work about later. Dashboard we need. So we're here. So let's console log the query. To get the query string. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to first test it with Insomnia to make sure that I'm getting the thing that I need. Whatever. Just so I could see it. And if anybody has questions, throw them in the chat, and then I'll take a look at the chat too. Let's go. Blah, 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 blah. So here we go. We're going to get the query string that we want, and then we'll test it out. So let's go back here. Let's click refresh. We're still getting nothing for projects. Let's take a look at new query. This is the query that we're making. And what endpoint are we making it to? API projects. So let me go to Insomnia, duplicate, get projects, whatever. And then we're paste that query string. And we need to provide the bearer token. Because again, if you're not getting your data from API, there's no reason to do anything in the front end, because what the hell? Why are you not letting me select this? What? What? Look at this stupid mouse. What? 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 That is stupid. That is broken like this. Okay, here we go. What? What is happening with my mouse? Look at this stupidity. Look at this. Okay, there you go. My mouse fixed itself. I'm going to take this, get projects. We're going to do bearer. Oh, it's already exists here. We're making a get request, send. So again, we are not getting any data from our controller. And so number one, it could be the fact that we might not be giving permissions, but I thought I gave permissions to be able to get this. And so let me review here. So we're author's ID, projects, get projects by user ID. So I'm passing user ID. Okay, so that makes sense. So I call this get project by user ID. Get project by user ID, but I'm filtering on author. And so there's two ways we could do. I could filter on author, or I could filter by user. Since we're already expecting project by author, let's go with author ID. So what I need to do, instead of passing user ID, I need to pass author ID, which exists in this user data. So we could take a look here. So author ID, right? So inside user data, we have author ID. So what I need to do here is I need to change this to not ID, but author ID. So that should get the data we want. And notice here, boom, we're getting the data. We're not displaying it yet. And the reason why we're not displaying it yet, attributes, is because, hold on a second. 1 second. I got to think through this. Let's think it through. So I want to do get projects by author ID. We get projects by author ID. We're passing the ID, populate. Let's take a look here. What's the query for this again? Let me refresh this. So we are getting projects. John's projects, tech. Oh yeah, we are getting it. So now we have to display it. Okay, thank God. I just brain freeze. My brain was just like, what the hell are you doing? Okay, so we are getting the data. That is great. So now let's take a look here in projects. We're getting the user. We don't need this at the moment, that we know that works. Let's see projects. We should be able to, we see our projects. And then we should be able to iterate through our projects. And dot length, blah, 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 if it's greater than 0, which is true. And then we should be doing here, mapping through projects. This is not failing, which is interesting that this is not failing. Let's take a look at what we're returning. We are returning an array. That may array. So this works. This should show this. Let me do like sanity check here. Oh, I'm a moron because I didn't fix the CSS. What happens if you don't give enough screen real estate? It's hidden. And so we might have been having it working. It was just showing up. I have to fix the CSS, which we'll do later. So that's good to know that it works. Now let's come back. And bam, thank God. So the issue was because I was so zoomed in, I have to fix the CSS to show the screen. And this is the stupidity sometimes that happens. So good, our dashboard works, we're able to get projects, we're able to get the project list. Before creating a project, we now want to make sure that we're able to get the single project when we click on it. So we're going to fire that next and tackle that next. But first, I'm going to take a look at the comments, see how you all doing. If you're joining us, thank you for joining Coffee Code and Chat, where I code, bang my head against the keyboard, cry a lot, and live code. Fridays, I basically spend time live coding and struggling through the process. And if you're not live coding yourself, even if no one's watching, you should be building projects from scratch. If you're looking to become a great developer and get out of tutorial hell, just cold turkey, stop doing tutorials and start struggling. I'm not embarrassed when I make mistakes because I'm constantly learning and improving what I'm doing. So this is awesome. And let's take a look at the chat. Any new comments here? It's super easy. It's very similar to kind of what I'm doing here. And I have a Strapi. So by the way, this website right here, I'll show you. I don't put too much mind to it. Codingafter30.com. So this is powered by Next.js and Strapi. And basically you would do a very similar approach. You know how in Remix, depends if you're doing, get static prop or whatever that command is. I could literally show you. I'm using GraphQL, so it's going to look a little bit weird, but it's super easy to integrate Strapi. If I could only remember what the hell I called this. Let me zoom in. What the hell is that project called? I think I called it Strapi for Frontend, weirdly. I don't know, but I'll take a look. Source, hooks, pages, app.js. Pages, users, team. No, this is a different one. I give projects such a bad names that I forget. Community one client, no. Strapi for No, give me one. The best way to do it. So I have that project hosted on Vercel. And what's cool, it's static build. So like it only fires, like if it only will change and rebuild the site when update content in my Strapi admin. So what branch is this from? So it's next with Strapi and GraphQL. That makes sense. That makes sense. So what's cool, if you press period, it's going to open this in VS Code on the cloud, which is awesome. So I'll quickly show you how you could integrate Strapi from Next.js. So I'm using GraphQL, but just imagine you're not using GraphQL. So I set up GraphQL client, but basically the thing you need to know, I believe it's in posts. You could do here. You scroll to the bottom. So I'm using GraphQL, so it's going to look weird. But basically what you would do is you would make your call, and this will be a REST call here using next, and then you will just return the props. Basically, you would make your call to Strapi from here, return it via props. Maybe there's a better example, and then you pass it those props to your component. I hope that makes sense. Let me see if app.js has a better, because this is such a simple app. I have no idea where's a good example. Yeah, again, this is going to look weird because I'm using GraphQL, which I probably shouldn't have. So you have get static props. Then you have here. So it's basically just looking at Next.js docs and seeing how they do the request, API request helpers. And man, their docs, I thought they'll be much easier to find. Let's do get server-side props, get static props, get static. Yeah, here you go. So using any one of these methods, and you would basically make your REST API, you know, hitting any one of those like Strapi API endpoints, and then you'll get the access and you return it via props to pass it to your component. And it really depends. Are you doing server side, static side? So I'm using static side in my Strapi application. I hope that helped. I know I'm being really confusing because I am using GraphQL instead of REST, and so it does look different. But basically the short of it is you're going to do get static props function. You're going to make your REST call here, and then you're going to pass that data via the return to props, and then you will have access to that data within your component, and then you just use it. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, I'll do that from scratch because I'm going to be building at some future application using Next.js 13 and Strapi, and I'll definitely do that. But yeah, but check out the documentation, but that's basically how you would do that. And if I find a GitHub project where I already built it, I'll share it next time. So back to our remix code. I kind of like forgot where I was. Let me close all this stuff out. All right. Okay, so what the hell was I doing? Okay, so basically we wanted to see, can we get single project? So this is broken. So whenever you click this link or you click here, that goes to our projects route, even if you select projects from here, but it's not showing the project. So we have to fix that request. And I believe the issue is similar to what we've been having is making that authenticated request to get the data. So now we're not so much in here. We're in projects. No, we're not. We're basically going to, if you take a look here, it's projects, and we're passing a ID. And the way you signify this in Remix is you use $project. And it's similar if you were doing this in Remix, not Remix, Next, it would be within that bracket notation, but it's basically parameterized route. And so what we're doing here is we're going to be And again, I need to move the request. No, I did move the request. It's happening here in index. So here we are. So we're get project by ID. And what we need to first, we need to pass the user data. What I'm going to do is like a champ, copy and paste it from my previous code. And the reason why you need to add this here is because this is a different route. And so the way you protect routes in Remix is in each route, you need to check if you have that user data in session cookie. And if you do, get that user data. And if you don't, redirect. So I need to import redirect. I think it's from Remix node. Import redirect from Remix node. And then I need to import get user data. Why is my enter not working? Import get user data. That should be right. And then where do we get the request? We have it in our loader. And so now we should have access to our user data. We're passing project ID. And again, to be honest, did I really need to do that? Yes, because if someone goes directly to this route, I still want to check that is the authenticated user logged in. If not, don't take him, like redirect him. But I think if I put this on the root router, like inside the dashboard, there's going to be a good experiment that I'll do later. But for now, we still need this. Why? Because I need access to the JWT token, which lives inside our user data. So I believe it's user data.jwt. So we're passing our project ID. We're passing our user data. So let's go to this run one. Let's go to get project definition. So now we are getting the ID. Now we want to get token. And more importantly, we want to pass that token here via header authorization bearer token. And that should work in terms of getting data. Pretty sure we're not going to get all the data, get project by ID, because we're not passing it here, but that's fine, one step at a time. So when we, I'm in the wrong project here. Man, I'm starting to lose my voice. This is annoying. I'll go strong a little bit more just to get this fixed, and then we'll move on. So I know that we're going to have to update this here. We're getting projects by ID. We're passing the params. We're passing the token. So the first thing to do, let's test it. Let's first of all test. I'm covering my mouth. Why? Let's first test it in our Insomnia, and we'll build that query out slowly because we know this is... Oh, it's working. Why? Because we just needed to pass the token. So I don't even have to test, which is beautiful. So we're getting the project. We're not getting the tasks. We'll fix this later. We're getting notes, comments, work. So we got to fix tasks. Okay, perfect. So we're getting there. So quick recap. The things that didn't work, register didn't work. We fixed it. Login worked, which is fine, but let me log in with John Wick. John Wick worked. Pin projects didn't work. This didn't work. View profile update didn't work. We fixed because this works, because if I update it, it's updated. If I refresh, look at that, that's done. So that works. Projects here didn't work. Create new projects doesn't work, which we'll have to tackle in the next stream. Although I'm curious now. I'm curious because it didn't work because we weren't building that author relationship before. So I'm curious. I'm going to give it a try. It'll be hilarious if it works. Test, test, but most likely it's not gonna work. I'm not gonna fix, if this doesn't work, I'm not gonna fix this today. Update. It works! Because this was an issue because of something else that we did in the registration. We forgot to associate user with author. So this, all the work that we did in the previous stream works. That is amazing. So now if I go to dashboard, look, we have that new oh my God. Oh God, I'm gonna have oh God, this is amazing. It's all coming together. It's all happening right now. Thank you. Thank you to the gods. Thank you to the coding gods. We are making progress. We are building stuff. That is fantastic. This is so amazing. So let's go ahead, finish up the last thing to call it a night, which is basically we want to be able to hit the project. We want to see the tasks. We want to see the tasks. So the way it works at Remix, this is not the proper one. The way it works is that we have our project ID. We're getting those projects and the tasks is being rendered by this route here. All of these, everything you see in routes, all of these are routes. So the tasks is coming from routes. And I believe two reasons why this is not happening. Number one, we're not making authenticated request to our routes. So what I need to do here, I need to provide the user data, which so I could literally use this baby here to get the user data from, what are we getting our user data from? We're getting it from our session storage cookie that we have. Let's import node redirect from node remix. Fantastic. And I love Copilot because it really checks all the previous code you wrote in your current project and it will recommend it as the thing, which is less typing because I hate typing. And then what we need to pass here, user data.jwt token. And so now let's go to get tasks by project ID. That's coming from our API here. And if you have any questions about anything I'm doing, I'm more than happy to dive into the details. I know we're kind of farther along in the project, but I'm more than happy to dive in and to talk about what is every piece of the code is doing. And by the way, the way I code here, let me quickly, before we fix this, the last thing, yeah, Copilot saves me from typing, especially if you already wrote a lot of code in your project. It'll literally use your current code as context to find some stuff. Yeah, it's pretty neat. I use it because I can't type to save my life. And also, I like Copilot because it's literally Googling in your terminal. By the way, a lot of times it'll give you wrong code, so you still have to understand what it does. So a lot of times if it shows something I don't get, I will test it out and play with it. And I won't use it until I know what it does. But the one thing that I want to say, the way I build my projects is I literally just go fast and loose and try to build the bare minimum functional app with the least amount of features and bells and whistles I can to get the general thing. And once I build out the basic functionality, then I will come back and I will refactor and make things better and add like more error handling and all this other stuff. But for now, it's just get my big concept out there. Does it work or it doesn't work? Big proof of concept. So we're making progress. So let's take a look. And by the way, I am crying underneath here my face. So the last thing I want to do is to do this. So we are getting our user data. We got the JW token we're passing here. Let's go here. So let's make sure we access that token. And then let's make sure we pass the header, which you want to authorize the bearer token. And then the last thing we want to do, remember I said we're making the call to tasks controller, but by nature, it's going to be locked down in Strapi if we didn't get permission. So the first thing I'm going to do is open my Strapi app and make sure that we have the proper permissions. By the way, before I used to get all this stuff from public, and so I'm no longer like, let me take out these public requests because I never want anybody to have public access to posts, projects. And what we did, and as you've been seeing, we've been refactoring all this stuff to make sure that we're not giving anybody permission to get anything unless they are signed in. So now we need to check our roles under authenticated users. And so tasks, notice we're not getting our tasks. So let's give find and find one and save. And so now I believe this is going to fix it. Why? Because number one, we enabled this controller find and find one to get permissions to have access. Second, we passed the token to our request. And so that in itself, I think will fix it. So let's go to our code here, refresh, and boom, it works. We don't have add task function yet, but to make sure that I'm not out of my mind, we could add a task in our backend and manually assign it to this project. So I'm going to go to content manager, tasks. I'm going to create a new task. This is a new task. Hey, status, let's say it's active. We're going to assign it to John's project because that's the user that we sign up as. Publish. And now when we go back and refresh, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So we're almost there. I'm almost don't want to end the stream too early until I fix this. So let's go ahead. Let's put the last 5 minutes and fix it. So the first thing we want to do is make sure that we're getting this. And we could test this first. And I know this is redundant because we know we're making this call in the front end. So you know what? I'm not going to test it with Insomnia. I'm going to test it inside our route here because we should see something. So we're in tasks route here. Let's console log tasks. Console the log tasks. And let's check it out. So no, we're not getting the tasks. Why we're not getting the tasks? And it could be just something silly as not saving the settings. So let's go back. I might have not saved the settings. Authenticated tasks. No, I saved the settings. Okay, so now I do have to test the API to make sure that this works. So because if you're not getting anything from an API, we need to know why. So let's do this. Duplicate, called tasks. And then we're not going to worry about this right now. Tasks, send. So we're able to get the task. So this works. So something's happening in our query. And our query could be, let's take a look. We want to filter by project ID. What kind of ID am I passing? I am passing project ID, user data JWT. So let's do a sanity check. We're gonna console.log ID. And then I also want to console log base, not base URL, the query string. And then I'm going to test it inside Insomnia to see what the hell is happening. Dude, this is how addicting coding is. Like, I don't want to stop the stream until I solve this because I won't be able to sleep. This is so dumb. But let's do it. Let's finish up. Almost done. I know it's the end. I know like few of you are hanging in there. True champs. So hang in there. We're almost done. I love all of you. I appreciate all of you that stayed so long. But let's get it done. Let's get it done. So this is for authenticated tasks, find one. Let's go here. First thing, let's just console log make sure that ID and everything else works. Okay, let's check our console. So task query. Project by ID, we passing 13. Let's also double check that in our Strapi thing, our project 13, this is it. Project 13. Oh, again, another stupid mistake. And this is why you sit in front of the computer too long. This is very important. So I'll show you what the mistake is in just a minute. If you code for a while and you feel like you're missing and you're making stupid mistakes, get up and walk around. I know why our query is not working. And when you see it, you're going to be like, Paul, you're an idiot. So I never assign tasks to this project. So here I am in the project. I never assigned the tasks that I want to display. That's why it's returning an empty array. And now I don't even have to do anything. I refresh and here's our task. And if I add another task, and eventually we'll be able to add this from the front end. But for now, I'm just using it from our API. Thank you all. It all works. Status done. Let's assign it to our project. That's the step I forgot to do. Publish. Now when we go and refresh, wait a second. Project, task. There's still an issue. What is the issue? I will figure out project, John's project, tasks. This is weird. It doesn't assign the relationship from project. So that's something else I have to fix. I know if I do it here, oh, I will take a look here in a second. I know this will fix it. So if I refresh, notice that work. And it breaks it even more. Let's go back. There's something interestingly weird happening. Something weird. John's project, tasks, John's project. You know what? I think I'm gonna take my own advice and I'm gonna take a break because I'm gonna overthink this. But the first thing I'm going to do is just going to try Insomnia quickly to see what it returns. Let me pass the proper query here. So populate. Man, yeah, I think it's time to go for a walk and take a break, but I can't quit. It's so hard. It's so hard. Okay, last 2 minutes. I'm going to time box myself in 2 minutes if I can't figure this out. Weird issue that's happening, which then will go. So let me first look content builder. Let me check my relationships, projects, tasks. Project belongs to many tasks. Finish. Okay, let me simplify this. Let me simplify this. Let me go to my authors, content manager, projects. I'm going to delete all the projects just so I have one because I might be adding tasks to the wrong project. No, we have tasks here. Select tasks. This is, hey, active. That does make no sense at the moment. So we have the project. We are getting the project. So I'm kind of curious what happens if I get all tasks. So we're able to get all the tasks. Let me do populate all. So annoying. So annoying. So project, we're getting the projects with the ID. So how are we filtering? We're doing get project. Oh no, we're getting tasks. Get tasks where project ID equals project ID. So filters, project ID, we're passing it here. That is weird. We're getting that query. Last minute, 30 seconds left. Populate filter project ID 12, send. Let's take a look at projects. It's 12. The projects are assigned and it worked before. That's curious. Something funky is happening. I will take a break here, but I want to say, and I realized I wasn't sharing my screen, which is fine. Basically, we're going to call it a day here because the best thing you could do is take your time away from the computer when you get stuck. So we put an hour and a half of coding. Maybe after each hour of code, go for a walk, get a fresh perspective and do it. What I want to say, thank you so much for all of you, the 4 power users that stayed to this late. If you missed the stream, you don't have to rewatch it, but I will post it. You could always rewatch. Usually these are streams of just me, can't even think anymore, but usually these are streams where I live code, building my project from scratch. The reason I do it, for those of you who are learning to code, the most important skill you could develop is practicing, suffering, and building things from scratch. And this is why I do it. It's not for the views. It's to show a realistic expectation of what you should expect when you're coding on your own at home, and to understand it takes time. There's always errors, there's always bugs, and this is something you have to do. So with that being said, I want to say thank you so much. I really appreciate all of you. If you haven't subscribed, you could go ahead, subscribe to the Coding After 30 channel. If you want to support me and you want to find out now, you could always donate coffee. If you do a monthly donation of $2, basically you sign up for buying me a coffee once a month so I could buy my Ferrari at $2 a pop, which will take me a million years to do so. But the benefit of, and actually I'll share that link with you. The benefit of, if you wanted to support me, a lot of people are asking me like, how can we support you? I used to have a free community, and it's technically, we have 40 members there now. And so what I decided to do, you know what? If people want to donate, that's awesome. $2 isn't that much for most people. And if you don't want to donate, that's perfectly fine. If you can't afford the donation and you want to be part of my community, just send me an email at codingafter30 and I will add you. But if you want to support the channel, you could go to snap the picture with your camera of the QR code, and then you could sign up for monthly $2 a month, and you'll have access to my community, which if you want to support, that's what you do. If you don't want to, that's perfectly fine. And I'll never put a lot of that stuff behind a paid wall. So if you can't afford to support, I totally get it. $2 in some countries, that's a lot of money. Like, I'm not even kidding. But if you're able to support the channel and you want to get that additional benefit for the community, go ahead, sign up. If not, that's perfectly fine. But with that being said, thank you so much. I really appreciate all of you. And this has been Coffee Code and Chat Friday night. I'll be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. US Central Time, talking about getting hired, talking about some other topic in terms of like your resume. You know, I'll figure out what the topic is. I'll post it later tonight. And then tomorrow, 11 a.m. US Central Time, I'll be back. But thank you so much. Have a great rest of the weekend if I don't see you tomorrow. Lots of love, and my voice is going. And with that, I say good night, farewell, and take care.